Man, I'm not excited to do this next one. I'm dreading to do this next one. Alright, listen. We're gonna talk about Elden Ring. Alright? Elden Ring. Now, sometimes I let a little time go by between when I beat the game and when I make the video about it. And this is probably the biggest example ever why I really should hammer down on, like, as soon as I roll credits, hop on the mic and give my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because I cannot evoke the hatred I had in my heart. I can't evoke that right now. I did not like Elden Ring. I had every reason to like it. Okay, I love George R. R. Martin. He's like my favorite writer, basically. He's like top 2 or 3 favorite writers. Okay, and I sort of love the Souls-like formula. Like I really enjoy the Jedi game, Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, which is just like rip off, yoink, the fucking Souls formula. So I really like the genre basically that they made, and I really love the writer who they collaborated with. But the thing about the writing, and my friend will fucking defend this to the death, but the thing about the writing, man, it's all just bullshit fantasy nonsense.
Radagon once cleansed himself with celestial dew and swore his love to Renala. The order of the Erdtree and the fate of the moon were conjoined.
And I didn't even realize there was a fucking plot. You know, like 40 hours in, and I'm in the group thread talking about like, man, I wish like I knew what I was doing or what was happening. He's like, you don't know what's happening. Like, bro, the NPCs, I swore that they were just spewing bullshit. Like, I swore that they were not speaking sensibly. They were saying all sorts of fantasy jargon and shit. I didn't even know that they were being coherent. And here apparently there's all that, they're talking about all this deep lore, and my friend's like, it's one of the best lores I've ever seen in a video game. I'm like, huh? Like, you're supposed to be in the item descriptions getting the story from the items or some shit like that, reading the description of a paragraph about the item is giving me the story, like, huh? But listen, at the end of the day, and I just recently learned this because I just recently replayed Dragon Age Origins, watch my last video, okay? Lore is cool and all, but it doesn't matter how intricate your lore is, how unique and well thought out your lore is. None of that matters if I don't give a fuck. You know, I don't care at all about the world of Elden Ring. There's like barely any characters. There's barely any story. Okay, so you're gonna tell me there's a lot of lore, which is essentially to say there's a lot of like background story going on. This world is really fleshed out, is basically what you're saying. But there's no actual story. There's no like forward moving plot that you can attach yourself to what's happening. So what do I give a fuck about the world in which it's happening? You know what I mean? I'm just some guy. It's just like I'm just some fucking guy, dude. Like, I don't speak. The only people I speak to speak literal nonsense. Like, there's no story. I played this game for like 100 hours. I remember there was one time where I started to get emotionally invested. I was like, oh shit, they were coming for my maiden. And I was like, I gotta go save my maiden. Yeah, I don't even know what her fucking name is, but yeah, I'm saving that fucking maiden, dog. You know what I mean? And then I was like, we gotta go save her. And I quickly got burnt out because I had to run through this whole area with all these dungeons and bosses and shit like that. And she was just a cutscene on the other side. So I stopped fucking caring by the time I got to it. But yeah, that was the one point where I was like, I was all jazzed up and ready to go. Come between me and my maiden. You know what I mean? And now I'm maidenless. It's rare that I've ever cared less about the storyline of a video game. So I don't know, my friend was telling me, he's like, oh, you're crazy, like there's great stories, great lore, all this shit. Like, I don't care, man. Dragon Age, I was really attached to that on a character level. Like, all right, what's the scenario these characters are dealing with? Who are these people? Their motivations, their relationships, whatever. I was really into it on that level. So then I cared, like, oh, what's the history of this continent and the previous wars that were fought here, and how does the fucking culture in this world work and stuff like that. Like, that all just builds in and enriches the plot. But in my opinion, Elden Ring didn't have a fucking plot. So you can write 10 encyclopedias about the lore of fucking, what's even the world called in Elden Ring? I don't know. It's called The Lands Between. I had to look it up. You can write 10 encyclopedias about the lands between. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, it's wasted effort. And George R. R. Martin, they should have had him write a plot. And you know, the cutscenes were so cool. They only happen right before a boss. You don't know who the guy is, or you don't know why you should care about him or whatever, but he looks badass. So they should have had George Martin write some characters, dog. Give me some cutscenes. Let me interact with him. Give my character a fucking voice. You know what I mean? Make me care. Then maybe I'll fucking care about the lance that I found in the dungeon with a 3-paragraph description of it. But I don't give a fuck about it right now, dog. I tried to be very... It almost drove me crazy because my OCD was off the charts with Elden Ring. I wanted to see everything. I wanted to check every nook, every cranny, do every dungeon. I wanted to do everything. Why? Because what's the one thing everybody knows about Elden Ring in the From Software games? It's difficult as shit, right? So to me, I'm like, all right, I'm approaching it as if this is probably gonna be the hardest game I'm ever gonna play, right? So I was super meticulous. I fucking did everything. I did like optional fucking castles and dungeons and all this shit. And all I would find there is pieces of equipment for like a class that I wasn't playing, or fucking other weapons when I've already decided what weapon I like and I've already like upgraded that weapon multiple times. So like I'm finding dozens of other weapons I'm not going to consider using because I already have my playstyle. I already have my upgraded weapon. So like there'd be like no reward for doing anything. Oh, like, oh cool, I found another piece of armor, but the stuff I'm already wearing is already better. Oh cool, I found another spell, but like I'm not a magic user, so fuck all. You know what I mean? And it's just like I'm not being rewarded for anything. There's no narrative fucking reward for doing anything. You know what I mean? Then you're giving me a bunch of shit that I don't want or can't use or don't need. And it's like, why am I doing this? So then the only benefit to doing shit is leveling up. Okay, we'll get to that later. But that really pissed me off. I didn't feel like I felt like I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. Like there's gonna be something around every corner. Like I should really look around every corner. Man, ain't nothing around that fucking corner. I've heard this before about certain games. I think I was listening to IGN podcast or something like that, and they were talking about like the wonder of something around the corner. And I think he was also talking about Breath of the Wild, which I haven't really played, and The Witcher 3, which I haven't really played. Okay, so that's my disclaimer. But he was talking about like the wonder of what might be around that mountain or what across that vista once you like crest that hill and you see it, like the wonder that you would discover there. I'm like, man, ain't no wonder. You know, there's just some chests with like some boots in it or something like that. Ain't nothing to find. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, there ain't no wonder around the corner, dog. Like this idea, like, what am I gonna find around this corner? I'll tell you right now, you can find some monsters. You're gonna find some fucking monsters, dude, and they're gonna try to kill you, just like every other corner you turned in this 100-hour game. So there ain't no wonder, all right? There were some cool looking vistas and stuff like that. It had some cool art design and shit like that. And yeah, the backgrounds and stuff look cool. But I was not surprised when I turned the corner, because the only thing around the corner in this game is some fucking monsters trying to kill you, okay? Spoiler alert. So it just makes me, like, I'm not trying to be a hater, but it's just weird because everyone has such adoration for this game. It just makes me feel crazy. And I usually want to support it. I'm like, you love this game, like, great, awesome, happy for you. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to like tear you down, but I just don't get it. Like, it's doing so popular, it's probably gonna win the fucking game of the year again this year for the DLC. Shit didn't even release this year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like I have to like combat all this high fucking praise that it has almost. You know what I'm saying? The one thing you know about this game is it's hard as shit, right? So the one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a play style pretty early into the game, maybe like 10 hours in the game. I'm like, okay, I like swords and a shield, or I like a polearm or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, this is my play style. You can give me fucking dual wielding, you can give me fucking great swords, you can give me axes or whatever the fuck. Dude, I'm already cool with this play style. You told me it's the hardest game I'm ever gonna play in my life. I'm not here gonna experiment with all this new shit, dude. I'm gonna get as good as I can doing my shit. I'm not gonna pick up a type of weapon I've never used before with all different timing to figure out and fucking how to parry with it or whatever, the special fucking commands you can do with it or whatever the fuck. I'm not gonna experiment with that. I'm good with the sword that I found 20 hours ago. You know what I mean? and with the shield. And I know people are saying out there, you know, criticizing me for using the shield. Damn right I'm using the shield. The same reason we use the shield in fucking Call of Duty, dog. And I know everyone gets all mad at that. You tell me be the last man alive and you drop like 200 people onto a little fucking island that gets smaller and smaller, I'ma use the shield. Cause I have brain cells. I don't understand, dude. It's in the game. But yeah, I mean, I probably did play it on baby mode at the end of the day because I would summon the NPCs in the fights. Apparently, I learned later on Reddit that if you summon the NPC summons, you're like not a real man or something like that. Like, dog, it's in the game. They put it there. So I would have the NPC summon, I'd have my Ash summons, and I'd be fighting the boss. Boss wouldn't even be looking at me. I'd be slapping him in the back. You know what I mean? I'm talking about this game's hard. You know what I mean? So they put all these different weapon types in the game, and I'm not going to experiment with them. I found the ones I like. I found like the abilities that I like. You can attach an ability to a weapon. I found the one that I like. I know that I could stand like 3 feet away from an enemy and poke at him with my spear or whatever. You know what I mean? And then I find another one on the ground. I'm not going to replace it. This is the one I like. So I'm rolling with this. So the only thing you can entice me with that I can find in the game is shit that I don't want, basically. Let me talk about the PvP in this game. The PvP is fucking dreadful, dude. Like, I'd be playing with my friends, and we would get invaded, and I'd be, oh, fucking hell. And they seem to like it more than I do. Or maybe it was just exciting to be invaded or whatever, you know what I mean? But they seem to like it, and I was always like, this fucking sucks. Because it would be 10 minutes of you're trying to fight someone, and they're just rolling. They're just spamming roll 37 times in a row, just rolling. You know what I mean? And you can't even engage with the person because they're just running away and rolling. And I'm like, this is not fun. This is stupid. I don't get it, bro. I really don't get it. The one time that I really had fun, and it's funny. It's funny because my boy didn't have fun. It was like almost the last session we played together or whatever. We were treating it like a multiplayer game. But it's funny because it's very much not a multiplayer game in the sense that, like, if we would unlock a bonfire for him, we'd have to double back and unlock it for me, do the exact same section immediately again. Where if it was a full dedicated multiplayer game, it would have just had that shit unlocked for both of us, which I have some thoughts about that we'll get to. But it's funny because, like, so we would have to encounter a room or a series of rooms or a hallway or whatever. We would have to encounter that like a puzzle and try to survive, and both of us make it to the next bonfire. You know what I'm saying? And it takes you like 7 fucking tries, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's just a mulligan. You're like, all right, I lost. He's like, what happened? I lost, dude. I gotta reload the checkpoint. You know what I mean? But I thought that was really fun, like coordinating, using teamwork. Like, I'll draw off one enemy, you kill this other one, you know what I mean? Like, fending them off. And I thought that was a high point to me. But, like, come to find out that he's like quit right after. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of out on Elden Ring. I'm like, no, that's the most fun I had. And I was telling my friends, like, I can picture this as like a multiplayer game where you have more of a role in a group. Like, one guy's role to take the hits and to take the attention of the enemy. One guy's role to attack from behind. Maybe someone ranged attacks and stuff like that. Magic, like having roles. Whereas in this game, when you play with a friend, you both do the same role. You're just, you know, hitting the enemies as hard as you can or whatever. You know, that's not really what I'm talking about. But I can see this as a framework for kind of like an action MMO or something like that. You know what I mean? That would be sick. That would be so cool. So there were times where I could glimpse and I really had fun sometimes when I was playing with my friends and we weren't getting invaded and being just fucking 20 minutes of chasing a guy who was just running away and rolling and shit like that and just get totally off track. But there were definitely times where I could see like, oh man, this could be epic if they do like a full-on multiplayer game. Not just like a single-player game that you can play with someone else. I mean like a multiplayer game. I'm not saying I dreaded every fucking moment of the game. There's definitely... The Souls formula is definitely successful for a reason. It's satisfying. Trying to make it to that next checkpoint, it's very satisfying. Okay? I thought the open world segments were a little less successful. I don't think anyone would agree with me on that. But I found almost nothing in the open world. And there was just like littered with bonfires. Like sometimes I would go 10 seconds on the open world and find another bonfire. I'm like, was that really necessary? It just sort of takes away from this feeling of dread that I'm supposed to have. So I didn't really love the open world. I think I might have more success going back just to the Dark Souls game, just to the classic form, just like going forward. You know, like, because my favorite parts of this game were in the castles or the dungeons or whatever, which was basically like a mini Dark Souls game. And then you get back out in the open world again, and I didn't really care for that part as much. Like, my friend really liked the game, and I gave it like 100 hours. I rolled credit. I think I beat it before him, which is funny, because he re-rolled on a different console or whatever, so he had to start over and play through it with us. But like, for him telling me to play it and I should give it a chance and I shouldn't be so harsh on it or whatever, like, I beat it before you, dog. So, I don't know, dog. It wasn't really for me, and I definitely wouldn't have stuck with it if my friend wasn't so high on it. There are these parts with, like, a fucking chariot that you had to dodge that's just, like, so annoying. Like, who designed this? Those sections were fucking miserable. Trying to dodge the chariot and trying, like, man... Have you ever heard, do you even know what fun is? Whoever designed that doesn't even know what fun is. You know what I'm saying? Like, who designed this? Really? You know, when I found, I was like, oh, I found the part with the chariot. Motherfucker, there's like 10 different parts like that. That shit was very frustrating. It's like, that was just designed to be fucking annoying. What's the one thing everybody says about a Souls-like game? They say, yeah, it's hard, but like, when you die, you know why you died. Like, you learned from why you died. It was fair. That's what they say. It was fair. You know what I mean? Guess what, dog? You can say that about any fucking game. You can say that about anything in life, dog. Like, when you fail at something, you figure it out and you just try it again and you succeed. You know what I'm saying? Like, Elden Ring can't lay claim to that. Like, most games, enemies telegraph what they're about to do. And most games, like, you have to get good. You know what I mean? Unless it's too easy. I talk about game difficulty a lot. Like, I like to put shit up to hard mode. I was telling my friend I'm playing Silent Hill 2 in hard mode and stuff like that. Like, I really want shit to be tense and for me to be on, like, peak performance and stuff like that. I've always really liked that. So it's not special to me. You tell me, oh, you really have to, like, learn from the game. Like, bitch, I've been doing that. This isn't special to me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you can't lay claim to, like, you gotta learn from the game. It's just, you know, it's fair, you just gotta learn. Man, you can say that about any fucking game. I don't want to hear that. I think Elden Ring is funny in the sense that it's so bare bones, like I said, in terms of like storytelling and stuff like that. You take like an SNES game or something that's just so video game, you know what I mean? And you just like convert that into 4K graphics or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, that's how fucking pure and how fucking video game it is. I appreciate it for that sense. And yeah, man, I didn't really think it was that hard. Now, you could say, oh, you use a shield, or oh, you use a summons, or whatever. Hey, man, I played the fucking game that was in front of me. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't really think it was that hard. Okay? Here's the thing why it's not that hard. It's an RPG. What does that mean? That means if you can't kill the boss, just go do some other shit, come back, and just whoop his ass. That's not hard. I'm more interested in, what's the other one, the fucking ninja one? Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, because as I understand from what I heard, there's no leveling. It's just skill-based. If you can't beat a boss, you just have to get better at beating that boss. You can't just go do other stuff and just come back and whoop the boss's ass. Like, I think leveling up in that traditional sense kind of sucks. You know what I mean? I remember playing like Final Fantasy games back in the day, and I couldn't beat a boss, so I just run in a circle, you know, for 3 hours, just doing random fights. And just get, like, that's not hard. That's time consuming. It's not hard. It's an investment of time. That, you know, if you give Elden Ring this much time, you will beat the game. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to get stuck unable to beat it. Just go level up and do some other shit. That's really how I feel about it. It's an RPG. It's an RPG, so there's a limit to how hard it can really be, because you can just go level up and get stronger. You know what I mean? It is kind of cool in Elden Ring. You can go focus on another quest line or just go explore some other fucking place. You know what I mean? And just, you sort of naturally get stronger instead of actually grinding. There was one part towards the end where I was like, oh shit, like this bonfire, there's a ton of enemies here. I could grind pretty easily here. And I felt proud because I didn't even look that up on YouTube or whatever. I think it's an established spot, but I found this shit on my own. So really only one time I did that was like at the end of the game. The rest of the time, you sort of grind naturally by just go doing some other shit. But I sort of resent the fact that people would call it hard, because when I would try a boss once or twice, I'd be like, all right, he's decimating me. I'm not even really close. I just go do something else, come back, and whoop his ass. It's not hard. I don't understand. So I want to play the Sekiro game, man. And I feel like it's been a while since I played the Jedi games that use the Souls formula, but like I know you get like skill points and you can unlock abilities and stuff in that game, but I don't think you just get stronger. I don't think like your attacks hit for more damage or your health bar gets 10 times as long. I just think that you unlock moves and stuff. I might be wrong about that, but that more Sekiro style, I'm more interested in that, dude. To me, that's hard. That's what I was thinking of when I thought of this. This to me, this is like casual hardcore, which is like a fucking oxymoron. But you take a game that's supposed to be hardcore, and it just gets popular. It's casual fucking hardcore. That's what I call it. You know what I mean? Elden Ring, I didn't like it, dog. I really didn't like it. I mean, I was entertained. I put like in a month, I put like 100 hours in, which I can't even remember doing that for like any game. So I told my friend, I was like, you gotta give me credit. You know what I mean? I didn't like it, but I really tried to really invest in it. I really focused on it. You know what I mean? And I treated it like it was about to be the hardest game I ever played. That was my approach. And I really went overboard and got like OCD. Like the open world really gave me OCD, where I was like crisscross the field this way until I reached the dead end and keep my eyes scanning. And then I crisscross back. I wouldn't just go forward thinking I would miss things to either side of me. You know what I mean? I was crisscrossing like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? And then I had my friend at work, dude. I described to him what I was doing. He's like, yeah, man, you shouldn't do that. Because, like, he told me most of the good loot and shit is in the dungeons and in the caves and stuff like that. He said, you're not really going to benefit from treating the open world like that. You know what I mean? So that, I was at, like, 30, 40 hours in, he told me that, and I was able to be like, all right, god damn, that sucked. I don't know what screw was loose in my head where I was literally scouring the open world, but hey man, you told me it was gonna be the hardest game I ever played, so I thought I'm gonna put in the most effort I ever put. You know what I mean? But thank God he cured me of that fucking fool notion, because that shit sucked. But yeah, man, I didn't like it. I think if I would have hopped on the mic 2 months ago, I would have been just screaming and red faced. So maybe it was good that I waited. I don't know, dog. If you like it, great. If you think I'm a pussy or whatever, because I use shield and summons, awesome, dude.